Good morning, ladies and germs. Tell you, old age is starting to. I would agree that I'm too young to be feeling this, but nonetheless, I feel old. I wake up sore, all the joints clink and clank like running a mallet up a xylophone. And I feel like eating dinner at 5:30, and I want to be home and in bed by 9. I don't care for large crowds. I don't really want to go to a party. Can't stand going out for drinks. Don't like to go into a crowded and loud bar where I can't hear the people I'm with. And I really hate when someone my age wants to go to a place that is populated by college kids or people in their 20s who I have absolutely nothing to say to and can't relate to them at all, and that just makes us look like the pathetic old people. No, thank you. No, thank you. I am getting old. And this morning while I was walking Major, the sun was shining on me, and it was already hot. Like it felt like noon. And as much as I love summer, I can't take that heat anymore, that high heat. It's just, I think in all ways, in my politics, in everything, I have moderated in my middle age. In my middle age, I am in the middle on just about everything. I don't like the extreme cold. I don't like the extreme heat anymore. I don't like the extreme left. I don't like the extreme right. I don't like staying up and eating dinner at midnight. And I don't like sleeping in. Old age sucks. And I know I'm not in old age. I'm in middle age. But it's the beginning of old age. And my God, if this is what 45 is like, ladies and gentlemen, I think I'm going to die by the time I'm 55. Because it seems to get worse by the 6 months, by the half year. And I'm not going to make it to 65 at this rate. I'm going to tire away to death. I am exhausted all the time. Now, maybe there's some terminal disease that hasn't been detected yet that's eating away at me. Who knows? All I know is this. If I feel the way I observed people in their 60s behaving, and I'm only 45, by God, when I get to my 60s, it'll be amazing if I'm even able to stand upright. So how are you this morning? How are you? Let's see who's in the chat. Eric's there. Eric Houston. Good morning, Eric. Good morning, Russell. Good morning, Michael. Good morning, Marie. Good morning, Paranormal Brew, who just want to be in Gettysburg. I don't blame you. I do too. I wanted to be here so bad I moved here twice. Fraser Baby says good morning. Good morning, Fraser Baby. Russell says, looks like fantastic weather at Gettysburg. It is a beautiful day. Little warm, 80 degrees, not even 9 o'clock. But, it's not snowing. That's the one good thing there. I'll still take this extreme heat over cold any day. I mean, heat, you could do things in the heat still. And then go home and take a cold shower and lay in the air conditioning or something. I don't mind it. I would, if you give me a choice, Matt, you either have extreme heat or extreme cold and never the other. I would have to say, I'll take the heat. Catherine says, good morning from Utah. Very nice. Wait, what is it, like 3 in the morning out there? What are you doing up so early? Not that you're not welcome here so early in the morning, but... Paranormal Brew will be here September 29th and 30th, helping Gettysburg Academy raise some money for preservation. Doing some ghost hunts. Wait, what? How do the two... What? Now, who else in that date range, the 28th to the 30th, will be here to help me move? No, we have movers for that, don't worry. Ty Webb with another dad joke. I do like extreme more than words, though. Oh, Ty, why can't you and other people like you? I've got a raw talent that I could make something out of in the show. Why don't you people live around here? Why don't you live here? Where are those people here? Marcia says, good morning from Chet and Marcy. Good morning, Marcia. You are getting older. Wait till you get to my age. We all turn into our parents. Oh, I know, Marcy. I see it. I see it just with... So there was, Cindy's daughter was going away to college, right? And so I took it upon myself to give her a talk, maybe from a male perspective. And I taught her, the best way if guy is, and this is good advice for all you ladies. And gentlemen, I'm sorry that I'm advising this, but frankly, if it bothers you that I'm advising this, then that means that you're somebody who would deserve this, and I have no sympathy for you. But I told her, it's like, have you ever at a party and the guy's like coming on to you and he's like, hey baby, blah, 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 and you're like, no, and he's like, oh, come on to me, no. I say 3 no's, or if he puts his hand on you, whichever comes first, a shin, maybe not stiff leg, it'll hurt your knee, but a shin works every time. Don't slap, don't scratch, shin to the nuts, and run. .45 wasn't bad, but 47 and went off the cliff. Ugh, don't tell me that. 40, whatever. 40 was still like 30 something. But 43 is where I started feeling a big change. Just the energy to get up and go. I have been saying for a year now, I gotta get back to the gym. I want to go back to the gym. Every time I have the time to go to the gym, I literally cannot drag myself to this fucking place. Like, I am exhausted all the time. I have no energy. I have no strength. And it sucks. We really weren't meant to last this long and also be as fat as I am. I mean, that doesn't help either, Good morning, Jeffrey. You finally caught this live. Hello. Glad you finally made it. I had, I'm not going to tell you details yet because I need to finalize it and nothing is set in stone now. However, I had a meeting yesterday with some fellas at the Park Service. And if what we talked about can happen, huge news for addressing Gettysburg. Huge. Maybe not for you, but for addressing Gettysburg, it's huge. And yesterday was a very good day. Very hopeful. very productive, and very surreal. And one day when it's finally to talk about it or let you know what it is, I'll do it on AG Today and remind me to say, I say, Matt, in the car you said it was surreal. What was surreal about it? If I don't remember, which I probably won't. Or maybe I will. Who knows? We'll just have to see. If I lived there, says Paranormal Brew, every day like Christmas. Every day I'd get up and walk the park. I love driving it, but walking, it is so peaceful and you see so much more. You're right. It is. And the one thing I'm going to miss, not regret, but miss about moving out of town, or miss about living in town, I should say, after I move out, is the proximity to the battlefield. And I can just hop in the car, or from where I live now, walk to the first day. I could walk around the corner to the college, and if I had to have a meeting like with Pete Carmichael or something, the office is literally around the corner from my house. So that I'll miss, because now if I want to walk on the battlefield, I have to drive to the battlefield, no matter where on the battlefield I'm going to go. But then I think, well, how often do you do it now? When I first moved here, first couple of years, I was out walking around here all the freaking time. But you get busier and a little older, you start feeling it, and as good as a walk. And then I see these people who are older than me, riding bikes and walking with a spring in their step around every day. And I'm like, what am I missing? Is it just because this feeling of aging is new to me and I haven't gotten used to it yet? Is that what it is? Like, it feels worse than it really is. Or I shouldn't say it feels worse, but I interpret it, my mind sees it as worse than it really is because it's so new, and I've always been pretty, energetic. Like, I could get up and go and do whatever, and if I was enjoying myself, I'd go all day and all night if I could. But I don't know. It really stinks. Marie has a cold. Oh, Marie, how'd you get a cold? You sure it's not the new Rona we're supposed to be afraid of? No, that's all I can say. I'll get dinged again. For our morning view of Pickett's Charge. Good morning, James. Paranormal Brew, can't wait to move here. It's a great place to live. Bill Reedy, I forgot to put my seatbelt on before you started driving. Uh-oh. John Bailey, morning. I just want 60 and a cool fall morning. Yeah, I gotta say, I appreciate spring and fall a lot more now than I used to. Spring I always loved because it leads to summer. I'm always like one step ahead, right? So I'm in spring, I'm like, okay, summer's coming, this is exciting. So when I'm in fall, I'm like, oh God, winter's coming, this sucks. But weather-wise and also aesthetically, I'm starting to appreciate the fall more. Not much, but more. Catherine says, what is extreme heat here? Well, so I would put that in the 90s, mid 90s to like 105 or something. That's typically as bad as it gets. But the problem here is, and I don't know if you have this in Utah. I think you're the one in Utah, right? We have humidity. And that's what makes it bad. I mean, I know people always go, well, it's a dry heat. It was 120 yesterday here in Arizona, but it's a dry heat. Right. It's still heat. It's still hot. But humidity adds a layer of discomfort that fully understand until they come and visit here, and then they're, holy crap, how do you live in this? And so yeah, and I've been in dry day. I'll take 120 degrees in dry heat over humidity any day, even though neither is really pleasant. The humidity is the worst because you sweat. You sweat without trying. Like, you just walk outside and poof, you've got some sweat going on. Paranormal Brew is smart, prefers the heat over cold any second. I do too. People buy tickets, the money goes to the Academy. Okay, gotcha. No, it's 7. I'm 80 and I'm awake. I'm 80 and I'm awake. Oh, it's 7 a.m. out there. Okay. Wait, in Utah? Oh, did you see that, guys? Oh, look. Oh, damn it. I didn't see it in time. I could have shown you they have a cannon barrel up on a thingamabob there. I'm 80 and I'm awake. Good for you. I was up at 5:30 this morning because the dog needed to go out. And usually I'm like, all right, well, I'm up now. You ruined it for me. And she wants to play and everything. But I tried a new tact today. Instead of turning all the lights on and acting like it's morning, when we came back in, I turned the lights off, went into the living room and laid on the couch. And she was rather subdued. And she kind of sat there staring at me as I pretended to sleep. And picked up one of her toys and just sat there with the toy in her mouth. But I ignored her, and then she dropped the toy and jumped up on the couch and made some space between the cushion and my legs, and curled up and took a nap with me. And I was like, okay, good. So maybe this is how I get her to stop being an asshole at 5:30 in the freaking morning. You know? Lead. Show her that it's sleepy time. Who had a song back in the 1960s called Sleepy Time? Does anyone know? Morning, Matt. Can you go down Ayers Avenue? It's my effing birthday and I'm 43. Well, Ricky, happy goddamn birthday to you, and welcome to the beginning of old age, or at least that's what it was for me. 43 was the first of many horrible years. Well, 2 horrible years. Yes, we will go there. No, my thyroid's okay, Catherine. I've honestly, my doctor's, she believes that it's exhaustion. I'm just exhausted. I don't rest enough. I don't drink enough water. I don't exercise enough. I'm always doing something with the show. And she's like, you need to, like, this is why, I don't know how new you are to everything, but earlier in the year I was talking about how I had to really make an effort to have a bit of a life. And it took about 6 months to start to corral my schedule from a 6 to 7 day week to a 4 or 5 day week. And we're mostly there. Like, we're there now. I have my scheduler, Dave. He has me recording every other week and then doing editing or administrative stuff in the weeks in between, which is good because that gives me a little breathing room, etc., etc. So, yeah, apparently everything is working normally. I thought maybe it was testosterone, but she says that's fine. I don't believe it, though. Yeah, so it's just nonstop, going nonstop, and my age just starting to slow down. And I'm not in the best shape. I could certainly lose the gut, but that would require, diet and exercise, and who's got time for that? But I have to make time for it. I told Cindy, I said, listen, when we move in, we're not going out to dinner all the time. We're not ordering in. We're making food, and we're having healthy food and small portions, and we're not going to get fat. Okay, here we are. Turn on the recently paved Ayers Avenue. A smooth transition. And here we go. I'll go slowly for your birthday, Ricky. Going down Ayers Avenue for Ricky's birthday today. We're going to go slow so we can take it all in, even though YouTube doesn't let me use landscape and I have to use portrait, which sucks. Kevin says, that aging stuff, Matt, gonna get worse before it gets better. Does it get better? That's what I'm wondering. I think it gets better when you die, right? Isn't that the idea? You find from the misery of a failing body. I drive by a gym every day and I still feel like crap. See, that's the thing, is when I eat better and I exercise, I don't feel like crap anymore. I feel good, right? I feel like I have more energy, I have more strength. It's the going and doing it is, I don't know what the mental block is. Well, first of all, it's very discouraging when there's people who are like in really good shape out there. That doesn't motivate me. That discourages me, because I know how much work that takes, and I'm like, I'll never get there, no matter how hard I try. Just never get there. These people that I'm looking at, they're either really young and it's very easy to get in good shape, or they've been doing it for decades. If they're in their 50s or something, they've been doing it for decades. It's like, I'm in the middle of life. I'm going to start doing something that I should have been doing in my teens and 20s all along in my life, and that's going to suddenly make a big difference. It'll make a difference, but a big difference? I don't know. Patrick says, well, a very good morning to you, sir. Good morning to you, Patrick. Paranormal Bruce says, can't wait to hear the news for AJ. Oh, it's good news. I think it's really good news. The potential that, the potential good things that could come from it, and what the news is itself, are all very good. Chris Wheel, is it Wheel or Weil? Good, says good morning. Good morning, Chris. That's a new name. I haven't seen your name before. Welcome. Marie's pulling for me. What are we talking about there? The old age? Y'all gonna do any more little round top updates, like going there again to see the progress? If you did, I apologize, and I'll check it out. We have not, but we are going in Octubre, which is, of course, Latin for October. I don't remember the date, but it's in the mid to late 20s, so end of the month. We're going to go and do another live stream from up there. Do you take vitamins? I do. I have a shake every morning. I use a keto. Oh, there's Carol Reardon. Hi, Carol.
Oh, hello there.
How are you doing?
Every day an adventure.
It is, isn't it?
I'm playing?
What's that?
Are you out playing?
I am. I'm doing a little video driving around the battlefield for YouTube.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Have you been?
Busy.
Yeah, good.
Well, classes have started again, so
Oh yeah.
I'm back in the
So
classroom
back
on
to
Tuesdays
school.
and Thursdays.
And where are you at now? You
Yeah,
Gettysburg?
yeah.
Yeah.
When Alan Gelso left a few years ago to go to Princeton,
Yeah.
he left late in the game, and there were organized classes, and the instructor all of a sudden, somebody over there goes, "You know who retired and is living in town?" So they brought me. They asked me to come in, and I figured I was there for one semester band-aid on
Right.
all that. Well, 7 semesters later,
Well, good.
and I'm not teaching anything Civil War this semester.
Oh, really?
I'm teaching American military history and the Vietnam War course. So
Oh, that's interesting.
yeah,
Vietnam.
so it's no, I'm not even doing what they originally hired me for. So
Well, it's good. It keeps you busy.
keeps me busy. It's almost the perfect gig. No faculty meetings, no committee meetings, no advising duties, just teaching. If somebody could just take the grading off the table, then it would be perfect.
Right. If you could just go in and
Yeah.
teach and not. Well, they don't give you an assistant.
That's fun. They barely gave me one at Penn State.
Really?
At Penn State, the unwritten rule was if you had 50 students or more, you'd get an assistant.
Uh huh.
They capped all my classes at 49.
Oh.
So I ended up doing a lot of it.
Oh, that stinks.
They knew I could fill any class we offered,
Right.
but they'd always give me 49. You know, 249 classes. So
Right. Oh, so close.
If somebody would take the grading, and I keep doing this forever, but
Yeah.
no, I'm at the point of thinking about re-retiring. So.
Yeah. Yeah. Well.
But, hey,
Then what do you
then
what do you want to do when you retire?
We'll figure that out then.
Pick up a hobby.
I already have one.
What do you have?
I've been birding.
Oh yeah.
I've been a birder for years. I was a biologist before I was a
Yeah.
And down in the beaver pond, as much as I hated being there,
Yes.
there is some really good birding down
Oh,
there
yeah.
right now.
Oh, there's a lot of interesting wildlife down there.
Well, it's the fall migration season, and there's been something down there called a sora.
Mm-hmm.
It's a cross between a duck and a chicken.
What? Really?
So, all right, look it up.
Okay.
It's only about this big, kind of blackish. The bill looks chicken-like,
Uh-huh.
and has these big webbed feet that lets it walk on mud flats and all that, and it just pulls things out of the mud.
Really?
And I had never seen one before, and somebody said it was down here. So I've been out on Sunday, Monday, and today to see if I could find it, and I found it all 3 days.
Really?
Down there.
So it's a cross between a duck and a chicken.
That's what it looks like.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
And so it's got, like, in other words, duck feet, chicken bill.
well,
Or
chicken bill, not duck feet like webbed, but just like 3 long toes or 4 long toes that are very big, disproportionately big,
Okay.
so that it can walk on mud without sinking.
Got it, like snowshoes.
And
Yeah.
that idea.
Okay.
And then there's a bunch of sandpipers down there,
Yeah.
but I mean everybody sort of knows what a sandpiper is, but there's about 15 different kinds in the eastern United States, and I got at least 2 new ones down there that I didn't have on my life list before.
Oh, neat.
So it's been exciting times for bird people.
Yeah, I bet. Well, that's the one good thing I think about that lake is the wildlife.
Yeah.
It's interesting to
Apparently
look
there's
at.
an osprey who caught a fish and went up in that big dead tree near Warren Avenue.
Uh-huh.
Sat up there and had lunch.
Really?
A couple days ago, Saturday, I think.
Really?
And I didn't see it, but I've seen pictures of it.
Now, I think I
There's
see.
my hobby.
Yeah. Well, that's a cool hobby. I don't have the patience for that because I can't.
It makes me slow down.
Ah,
It's important
okay. I see what
for
you're
me.
saying.
Yeah, otherwise I'm always in overdrive.
Well,
But
see now I might
sometimes
have
you
to.
need that thing that ratchets you back a little,
Yeah.
and so come out and walk a little bit and watch the birds.
Well, I'll have to try that because I was just complaining about how I'm just always going.
Yeah.
And I'm exhausted.
And it's good for the soul.
Yeah. All right. Well, maybe I'll give it a try.
Nature,
Yeah. And there's plenty of it here.
and fresh air,
Yeah.
tainted with a spit of asphalt. and, and there's all kinds of good things. In this area right in here, you can see every species of woodpecker that lives in the eastern United States. From the big pileated woodpecker that kind of looks like woody woodpecker,
Right.
down to the little downy woodpeckers.
Really?
All through here. Yellow-bellied sapsuckers, flickers.
I've heard of a yellow-bellied
It's a
sapsucker.
real thing.
I just thought that was an insult, but that's a bird.
It's a real bird.
Oh, okay.
It's a woodpecker.
Okay.
And hairies and downies and red-headed and red-bellied. Serious birders come to Gettysburg to see red-headed woodpeckers because we have them all over the place here. and they're not common in a whole lot of other places.
Right.
And I just passed a new family of them back in the woods. They were up on top of a dead tree, apparently having a family reunion.
Ah,
So,
nice.
yeah, so
Well, good.
I'm out here taking advantage of that hobby that I have.
Very nice.
It's a nice break between the Tuesday and the Thursday class.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just taking, I do this every morning. I take the long way to the office. So I basically go past the office just to come through here. It's nice. I love it. All right, well, I'll let you get back to your morning ritual.
Yes, it is.
It's nice to see you.
Well, you take it easy, man.
You too. Talk to you later. All right, that was the great Carol Reardon there, ladies and gentlemen. You never know who you're going to run into on the battlefield. And I almost ran into these people. You can't see them, but I'll wave anyway. All right. So, Marie, I do. I take vitamins. I have okay. Let's see. Lance says good morning. Good morning, Lance. Barbara Schultz says good morning. Good morning. Or she. Paranormal Bruce says, I feel like Gettysburg would eliminate a lot of stress for me if I lived there, which does help with your daily feel-good vibes, feeling better and not so 45 years old. Well, you're absolutely right. When I moved here after a decade of depression, right? And I was just miserable in New Jersey. So naturally, you can understand 90% of the depression was caused by location. And I always say this, like when I moved back here, I arrived like in, I don't know, 9 o'clock at night on May 30th of 2018, May 31st, excuse me. And wait, 30 days has September, April, June, and November. Okay, so yeah, it was the 31st. Last day of May. And the, what was I saying now? Oh, as soon as I pulled in the driveway and turned the car off, I felt this wave of relief come over me. Because place is a very important thing to me. And I say this a lot too. You might have heard me say that, like, I have about a 10-mile radius northeast and west of Gettysburg. South of Gettysburg, where the border's about 10 miles. So 10-mile radius from the town of Gettysburg. And then outside of that 10 miles, each mile I go, the less comfortable I feel. I just have a general feeling of uneasiness. And it's the weirdest thing. I can't explain it. I don't understand it. But I accept it as reality, and so I live here. That said, I'm still exhausted. It doesn't give me energy, it gives me calm. And it enables me to keep going. I mean, like, honestly, like, every day feels like I'm on vacation. And maybe it's because my initial experience with Gettysburg was coming here on vacation, right? Like, my dad and I would come down here at least once a year for a weekend, and then as I got older and started driving around more and everything, I would come here on my own. When I went to George Mason University, and on my way to or from home, I would take the long way through Pennsylvania just so that I could drive through. I didn't even stop because it was usually nighttime, just so I could drive through Gettysburg to get down to Fairfax. I would never do that today because it's like a 6-hour drive. It was way too long. But when you're 20, what do you care? I try hiking the woods. I try, I don't know. Like, I think it's because I'm mentally exhausted. I'm constantly thinking of what to do. with the show. I'm constantly thinking of what to do next. I'm constantly thinking of how do I get to the next step? Can I get to that? Is it realistic? There's all day long, my brain is going. And then I got to talk to people all day. That's very exhausting. And when we record, you got to talk to people. You have to pay attention. Except for when Veronica does the news. And then you have to be engaging. And there are days, I'll have like a migraine coming on, or I'm just tired and I'm not in the mood, but I have to act like I am for the sake of the podcast. And so acting opposite of how you're feeling is exhausting. So all these things it's mental exhaustion more than it is anything else. God knows it isn't physical exhaustion because I'm not doing anything physical. So it's mental exhaustion, and that I think is the block that is not enabling me to jump into physical activity, because I think I'm physically exhausted. The mental exhaustion manifests itself physically. When I went home a couple of weekends ago to visit my family in Jersey, I slept most of the time. And everybody's like, come on, get up and do something. And I was like, I can't. I can't. My body will not allow me to. And on the drive home, I fell asleep like 3 times, which was scary because it's driving. And then when I got home, I took a nap for 2 hours. And then I went to bed. Let me think here for a second. Yeah, then I went to bed. Then I woke up the next morning and took a nap after I took the dog out from like 6:30 to noon. I was just exhausted. And I felt refreshed that day, and then went back to bed that night and woke up the next day feeling sore and miserable, and not miserable, but sore and exhausted again. So I don't know what it is. It's whatever. All right, let's move on from that. Let me pull over here and catch up. Pulling over by Battery B, 1st Rhode Island Light Artillery. Ladies and gentlemen, I gotta tell you, Our Story by Stephen Evangelista. Get a hold of that book. I think you'll like it. All right. I always love walking the battlefield during the cooler weather. June through August can be brutal. It can, with no shade especially. Yes, the humidity is rough. I've been there. Okay, so we're way behind here. Let me catch up here. We live northeast of Gettysburg, about 4 hours. Always a 7 to 10 degree cooler difference, but same humidity. Yep. Good morning, David. Chris Well, you got it correct. Sleepy Time is a Cream song. Lance also, you got it correct. Marie says happy birthday to Ricky. Ty Webb, happy birthday to Ricky. Also turned 43 this year. It's a really magical time when your body starts doing stuff it never did before. Right, and it can't do the stuff it did used to be able to do. Oh, Ricky says thanks, Marie, and thanks, Ty. Jennifer says, good morning, Matt and Gettysburg people. Good morning, Jennifer. Marie says, I have recently lost a little over 90 pounds. Good for you. And I feel so much better than I did before. How did you do it, Marie? Share the secret, please. Can you walk in the Rose Farm again? They had it closed for a bit. Isn't it still closed? I haven't gone and pet the horses, so yeah, I'll not now, but next time I do this, I'll try to do it. Jennifer loves Dr. Carol. Patrick says, hi, Carol. Love the Spotlight episode on you recently. Sorry, I didn't see this when I was talking to her. Keep up the amazing work. Ashley Nemick, good morning. I went on a road trip to visit my family at the Jersey Shore over the weekend and listened to the podcast the whole way. The John Burns episode had me dying. Good, Ashley. I'm glad to hear it. Where at the Jersey Shore? Really needed the distraction. Thanks for all you do. You're welcome. Thank you very much for liking it. Ricky says, Carol is great. My birthday wish I forgot about. Patrick says, and things like that 49 student class is what totally turned me off from teaching at any level. Yeah, everybody always playing fast and loose with the rules, right? It's like happened. You know what I mean when I say that? Like, what happened? Where did we go wrong? Because every level of society is just crap. Russell says Planet Fitness is across from the Cork and Keg Bar twice a week, multitasking with beer curls looking at the Planet Fitness sign. I liked Planet Fitness. I wish we had one in Gettysburg because it's cheaper. I go to the Y. It's not bad. It's like $60 a month. That's not terrible. There's other gyms that are like 100 something a month. So the Y's not bad. But again, it's not any gym's fault. It's just me dragging my ass into one. But I liked. Here's what I liked about Planet Fitness. I'm not a jump into type of guy. I like to ease into things. So what Planet Fitness does, first of all, I have a bad back. So I got to loosen up my back before I can do any exercise. And they have massage chairs. So I would sit in the massage chair. And then they have the tanning beds. So I would go in the tanning bed because especially during the winter, I close my eyes in the tanning bed, put some music on. I feel like I'm at the beach. So that puts me in a good mood. And now I'm in a good mood. My back is loose. Now I can exercise. So I'd go and exercise. What I didn't like about Planet Fitness is after I exercise, there's a freaking stack of pizzas or bagels on the way out. And it's like, what are you ensuring that you're always going to have customers by keeping them fat? I don't get this. But yeah, I wish we had one here. There's one in Hanover. There's one in Chambersburg. Wait, is there one in Hanover? I might be thinking of Staples. Anyway, there's a Planet Fitness in Chambersburg, and then there's one like up in Mechanicsburg. But I'm not driving a half hour or more to go to the gym. I'll never do it. Is it pileated or pelleated? The woodpecker by South Confederate Ave in June was a lifer for me. Ty Webb, why are all birds named like a 12-year-old boy was put in charge of that? That must have been the yellow-bellied sapsucker that you're talking about there. Bill, Matt, I'm a retired trucker. My body aches. I have hemorrhoids. Oh, last night I had a bad leg cramp and my dog just bit me. And you think you have problems? God, I guess it could always be worse, right? Naturally toot or toot is waving. Well, I'm waving back. Hello. Ty says, Bill, how long were you a trucker? Do you have that thing where the left side of your face is more wrinkled than the right from only getting sun on that side? Oh, is that a thing? I never knew that. I could believe it on the arms. Bill, Ty drove a truck over the road for 30 years. No, my face is fine, but my left arm is always tan. There you go. Have you been checked for sleep apnea? I have, Michael. I have. I've been checked for sleep apnea. I took a stress echo test. Everything is fine, according to the doctors. So that's, people always complain that the doctors tell you, it's in your head. No, my doctors never told me that. But with all the tests they've run, I think they've subtly proved it to me. Instead of saying it to me, they're just like, all right, we'll do this test. We'll do that test. Everything's fine. Long Beach Island, that's where I was, Ashley. I was, we were in Barnegat, not in Barnegat, just outside of Barnegat, and then went over to the island. Chris, lost 30 pounds, aimed for 5 a month by walking 10 steps a day, 10K steps a day, and no pizza, no soda, and it worked. Yeah, that's the thing. So, like, pizza, I'll have pizza once in a while. But when I do, I could literally house a whole pie. And I don't. I house 6 slices and then the other 2 the next morning. And that's the only thing I eat like a freaking pig. Like everything else I eat in moderation. Like I don't have, I very rarely go back for seconds when I eat at home. So, and I don't pile the plate high or anything like that. And I tend to eat healthier at home, but as of now, I live alone. So who am I cooking for? Who's going to clean? Right? So I tend to eat out a lot more than I should. But that's going to change. So I know once we change that, that's going to help a little bit. But the real key is getting in some exercise. And also, I just don't know what to do to exercise. Like, I don't know. I know, like, I could look and see someone who's in good shape and be like, all right, I would love to be in that kind of shape. But I don't know what is realistic for my body type. Like, I don't know. All I know is I need to drop the frickin' belly. Are you coming to Harrisburg for the cocktails and cannonballs event at the Civil War Museum? I'm not aware of it. I did not receive a engraved invitation in gold leaf lettering asking me to be a special something. So no, I don't think I'll be going. Ashley says, I know, loved your lighthouse video. Oh yeah, okay, cool. You saw it. Nice. Patrick says, went from 220 to 141 last week. In 1 week, you dropped all that weight? 220 to 141. How tall are you, Patrick? I'm close to your age and can tell you that the middle-aged individual trying to balance it all and surviving on caffeine and anxiety diet beats Atkins. Yeah, but it's bad for your heart. Is that all it was that you did? You tried just trying to balance it all and using caffeine and anxiety to lose weight? That's not particular. I don't think that's good. Are they going to pave Wheatfield Road? Yeah, they started. Half of it's paved, and I assume they're going to finish the other half. Marie says, the program I am following doesn't require any exercise. Healthy motion, yes, but not knocking yourself out. I don't mind knocking myself out. Truth be told, I like exercising. I like lifting weights. I like the feeling of being sore from lifting weights. I like after a few weeks, I can, press on a muscle and feel that it's bigger and harder than it was before. It's just I'm definitely, I don't know if technically I'm part of the microwave generation, but like, I'm not there's certain things I can be patient on and let nature take its course. And one of those things is addressing Gettysburg. Like, from where I started to where I am now, it is much bigger. However, it had to happen in very slow, maybe monthly increments. And it has. And I had to be willing to be patient and allow it, and I did. But I'm not a patient person with certain things. Like, something that's going to be good, I want it now. But I had to learn, okay, this thing could work for me, but I can't do it the way I always do it, which is try to get everything all at once, because I'll fail. So I have to get one thing at a time and add new things as time allows, or as the situation allows. And so I did. I practiced patience, and I learned to recognize opportunities, and I learned to basically play by feel, and detect when the time is right for the next thing. And so I don't really have much patience with anything else. Everything else, I want it, and I want it now. That's why, like, when I have people in town, and they're all like, where do we go to eat? I'm like, Savorhood. I'm not standing in line waiting for a table for 45 minutes to 2 hours just because you want to eat at a place that looks like a tavern from the 1700s. Like, you want to do that? We're getting an old dinner at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, because I'm not waiting in line. Or if you want to do that, then you go wait in line and you text me when you're being seated, and then I'll come in and sit down. But I can't do it anymore. I just can't do it. And people say, well, you must, people, they must know you. They don't give you, they don't rush you to the head of the line and give you a table. First of all, what am I, Frank Sinatra? No. And here's the other thing. Most people in Gettysburg don't know addressing Gettysburg. And that's my own fault, because I haven't really forced myself upon the locals. The way I look at it is, I'm trying to position addressing Gettysburg to be basically like the cable access of Gettysburg, but the audience is the rest of the world. Whereas, cable access, you had to go to the locale to watch their cable access and get an idea of the local color. Well, with the internet, it's the opposite. You can shoot the local color out to the rest of the world. And so that's what I'm trying to do addressing Gettysburg. But I figured I think I know the mindset of the town and the businesses in town enough to know that I had to get you guys first. Because, if I'm going to go to the town and be like, hey, I have this idea for a podcast, and I want to promote the town and all the businesses and all the activities, so please be my sponsor. They'd be like, what's a podcast? So I figured what I need to do is go get you guys first. And then I say, hey, we average 60,000 downloads a month. Actually, I did the numbers the other day. It's actually more than that. If you count what YouTube, so the reason I have to do two things is the publisher where I put the podcast, where it goes out on the free feed, like wherever you listen to the podcast, like Spotify or Apple or whatever. That's all done through one publisher, and then it goes out to all those platforms. And there's a couple, I think there's probably close to almost 24 of them now. Some of them I've never heard of because I think they're from other countries. But anyway, I get analytics off of that publisher. But then YouTube is different, because not everything that goes through the publisher goes onto YouTube. So I have to do YouTube as a separate account. And you combine, which is crazy to me, because we've hit 2 million downloads. So I don't know if you remember last August, we hit 1 million total downloads, and that took 3 years to accumulate. So it was 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021, and 2022. Okay, well, it was full 2022. Anyway, so 2.5 years. Since then, we hit another million in 1 year. So that's an improvement, I would say. So what is my point? Oh, so now I could go to these businesses and I'd be like, hey, I got this podcast, blah, blah, blah. And they go, what's a podcast? And I'll explain that to them. And then I'll say, and here's what we've done. And, they'll be like, oh, and, you let them know. The reason you want to advertise with us and not some print publication that is, here, is because we reach people before they get here. And we reach them where they are. You could say, well, those other places, they have websites too. Yeah, but nobody goes on websites anymore, right? I mean, like, they do, but they don't. They don't live on websites. They live on social media. They live in their podcast app or Audible or, wherever, which you could also get podcasts on Audible. And so you get them where they are. You go to them, and that's what we're trying to do. Now, why did I get into this stupid, boring, long thing about how things work and everything? I don't remember. Patience, I guess, is what I was talking about. You have to have patience, and I only have it for one thing. Yeah, Catherine says, walk, smaller portions of healthy food, and walk. I agree. I think that's the way to go. I like a good walk, but I do like lifting weights. I gotta lift weights too. I gotta do something like that. It's actually good for your bones to do that. Probably your alignment and everything as well. So, and it feels good. I like the feeling of it. Gonna pull over here by the old 29th Pennsylvania monument. Oh. All right, let me see. I'm going back here in the comments. Okay. In reality, it's a ton of walking and just smaller portions. Got less and less hungry and fuller earlier and earlier. Yeah, that's the thing I noticed when I did the keto diet. After the first week, which was really tough, I had what? I had noticed that I was naturally taking smaller portions, and I was eating because I needed to fuel my body. I didn't really have an appetite. Even when I would get hungry, I wouldn't get hangry. It was just a very even. I felt like my body is supposed to feel like, you know. And I noticed that my portions were smaller, and I wouldn't eat more meals during the day. I was just eating a little bit, eating enough, listening to my body when it told me that I was full, and being that it was, no crappy food like pizza or anything. I didn't eat it voraciously like some kind of animal like I do. And so I found it easier to just do everything, and then I felt great. But it's very hard to. It's hard. This Friday night, 6 to 8, whiskey and cigar night, a World War II American experience. There you go. There's something for you to do, folks, if you're in town. Marie says, guys always lose weight so much easier than we women do. Yeah, but I think there's got to be a point where guys hit a certain age where it's just as hard for women as it is for women, I mean. Dr. James, so when can we expect the big AG and MPS announcement you've been teasing? I don't know. I have to, there's still some things we have to talk about, and then there's, I got to do paperwork and stuff. But, soon. When will then be now? Soon. Ty Webb, I'm literally James Gandolfini in the Family Guy cutaway where he walks by his cobwebbed weight room while taking a bite of a sandwich. Yeah, I know that. I know what you're talking about. I got my dumbbells under a pile of clothes somewhere. I know what you mean. That sandwich is so much more rewarding to the brain, though. It is. Not forcing yourself on the locals. Phrasing that. Oh, yeah, okay, I know what you mean. I should say addressing Gettysburg on the locals. Marie says, I needed more help than just doing it on my own. That's why I chose this particular program. It's been so easy for me, which I appreciate. You got to find what works for you. Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. Keto really worked for me. I mean, it really worked for me. I felt great. I lost like 35 pounds in like 4 months, something ridiculous like that. And the problem was it coincided with Halloween coming, and I was working at an office, and they had bowls of candy everywhere. And I said, one Reese's peanut butter cup isn't going to hurt me. And then I said, well, we'll wait until after New Year's to go back on keto. And I never did. And it really pisses me off. I let myself down there. Walking is more important than gyms. Yeah, no, I know. Walking is very good. I could do both. I mean, you got to tighten up, Like, look, I'm an international fake television star. So, I have to make myself look a little better. Let's be honest. Okay, Ghost Sickles Live. I lost 80 pounds 3 years ago at 53 and have kept it off. I'm an idiot who was biking 20 miles a day every other day in summer and walking everywhere. And more importantly, I gave up drinking Pepsi. Yeah, see, that's what really bugs me is, I see somebody that lost a lot of weight and I'm like, damn, what did you do? You lost so much weight. And they're like, I stopped drinking soda. And I'm like, that pisses me off because I don't drink soda. If I want something bubbly, I get club soda with lemon. If I want iced tea, I get unsweetened iced tea. I don't add sugar to it. I don't add any sweetener to it. Occasionally, I might want a piece of chocolate or something, and I'll get one and I'll eat it, and then that'll be that. I don't keep it around the house. I don't keep sweets in the house. I don't really have a sweet tooth. If I really want something sweet, I'll have a pineapple or a scoop of peanut butter. Maybe 2 scoops of peanut butter if I'm particularly hungry. But I really don't eat a lot of junk. We eat out a lot. Because it's like, and that's going to change. I told Cindy, I was like, listen, we've got room to entertain now. So maybe sometimes, instead of after doing the show on Thursday, instead of going out, we have everybody over for dinner. And then that way we don't all have to spend a ton of money and we could eat something that isn't going to be, something that'll kill us. Sugar and flour are the devil, says Marie, and I agree. Dogface cut out soda when he was doing T25 for a while and lost about 10 pounds in a few months. 10 pounds in a few months? Yeah, see, that's what I'm talking about. I don't have the patience for that. It's got to be 10 pounds in a week. I don't care how bad that is for my heart. Then went to Cancun with all-inclusive and gained it all back. Yeah. Ghost of Sickles Legs, you're a national treasure. Yeah, said nobody with a straight face ever. If I want something bubbly, I watch past episodes of Addressing Gettysburg Live. Oh, there you go. I like that. When you're in the mood for something bubbly, watch past episodes of Addressing Gettysburg Live. With such guests as Cam Mallow, Alderson Broderson, and 6 Questions Lens. So I fell down again the other day and listened to Veronica's news. Why don't you ever pay attention to me? I just said that, Matt. All right, let's move along now that we've caught up on comments. Oh, wait, I wanted to tell you something else. Hold on. Oh, what the hell? It'll come to me in a second. Hold on a sec here. Told you about the exciting news that I can't tell you just yet. I told you I'm doing a panel with Bo Brinkman and Joseph Fuqua at the Adams County Historical Society on that Saturday at 9 a.m. So, as you know, I'm grumpy in the morning, so this is going to be interesting to see how I can do this. Because there's a reason AG Today is an afternoon show and not a morning show. So I'm wondering, should I stay up all night? That probably isn't a good idea, right? So I should probably just try to get to bed early. But I don't know how realistic that's going to be. I'm just going to have to do it. I'm going to have to act like an adult and just do it, right? I think that's it. Here, let's play a game. Let's see if I can give good advice, okay? So here's how we'll do it. and you got to be serious, okay? So if you have some kind of dilemma or problem or something that is perplexing you in your life, or maybe in your child's life or something like that, you maybe have a kid in college or something, and whatever, tell me right now, and I will concoct advice and perhaps a plan of action to fix the problem, a solution, if you will. Let's see if I can do this. People have always said I should have been some kind of a therapist. Or do they say I need some kind of a therapist? Well, either way, therapy is somehow involved. And I want to see. I want to see if I could actually do it. And so then, okay, so here's the game then. You give the problem, I give advice and solution and or solution, and then the rest of the audience has to, on a scale of 1 to 5, just 5 being great advice, 3 obviously, meh advice, and 1 is just awful advice. The audience is then going to have to comment what they think, how good they think the advice I gave was, okay? Let's try that. So I'll wait for you to think of something. There's 35 people in the room right now, so that's plenty of people. One of you has got to have some kind of a dilemma or perplexion. Is perplexion a word? Perplexification, maybe? Okay, now there's 32 or 33 people in the room. 2 left. They got scared because they didn't want to share their problems. Ricky says, have you ever considered covering the Underground Railroad in Gettysburg? Yes. In fact, we have started to scratch the surface on that. There's a show that'll be coming out on Patreon. Patreon.com/address at Gettysburg with Deb McCausland about Yellow Hill, which is a place north of here that was a black community. And I talked to Deb about coming on to talk more about black history, including the Underground Railroad stops and things like that. I believe there's an episode of That's What She Said that is about... it's not about the Underground Railroad, but I think it touches on it. I think it's come up a few times in a few of those episodes. So we're starting to dance around it. That's what I like to do. If you think of the old Westerns, when there would be an Indian attack on a wagon train and they circle the wagons and the Indians kind of whirl around it, and with each circle, the circle gets tighter and tighter. That's what we like to do on a subject. We start to kind of circle it, and then as we talk more about it, we get closer and closer, and then we do an episode that is focused solely on that issue. So we are going to get to that. Most likely it'll be in 2024. I mean, we might record it tomorrow. We're not, obviously not tomorrow, but we could record it this year, but it won't be out until 2024. That's why it's important to remain a patron. Not a lot of people, but I've heard from some people that they're like, well, I just wanted to hear this one episode that you put a preview up for, so I joined, and then I canceled at the end of the month. And I go, well, did you listen to the other stuff? And they're like, no, I just listened to that one episode. I'm like, why? You paid for a month. You might as well explore it. And I think it's because they're afraid they're going to fall in love and then remain a patron. And that's silly. Love is nothing to be afraid of. But as the great Mariah Carey once told us, love takes time to heal when you're hurting so much. All right, let's see. Paul put, what does he say? Got a coworker who thinks he's funny. Last night I decided to make official his nickname Lieutenant Steve from the movie Good Morning Vietnam. Now, should I wait to tell him why or let it get around work first? Well, okay, Paul. I would say this. Depends on what the environment is like at your workplace there. If it's one where everybody, gets along well and joshes each other in fun and nobody's uptight and whines and cries like a little bitch, then I would say let it get around. But really, think about it, because some people, when they find out that they have a nickname and everybody else knows it except for them, that could rub them the wrong way. And not so much anger them, but maybe hurt them and make them think that they're disliked or, people are ganging up on them or something like that. So ultimately, I think it's your decision. You have to decide who is this guy, obviously, but I'm saying, how does his mind work? Do you know his sense of humor enough? Would he get a kick out of that? Or would he take offense to it because he's not part of the joke? A nickname, when you're there for the earning of nickname, that's one thing. You still may not like it, but you'll get used to it because you were there and you know how it came about. Finding out you have a nickname from a dozen other people or whatever it is, however many people you work with, and they all know the nickname and they're all privy to the creation of it and why and all that other stuff. I don't know. I would tell him first, although that will kind of ruin the fun of it. But it's your workplace. It's not your buddies hanging out in your man cave. So it's a little more delicate, I would think. But again, it depends on the culture of your workplace. If it's like stuffy corporate, basically adult kindergarten, I just wouldn't even do it at all. All right, so there you go. So there's some advice. On a scale of 1 to 5, was that good advice? Or was that mediocre advice? Or was it bad advice? 5 being great or good, 3 being mediocre, and 1 or 0 being bad. Let's see what everybody thinks. So that was kind of fun. I like that. Somebody give me something juicier. I'm going to wait until I get to East Cavalry Field. We're on the Hanover Road, for those of you who follow that, care about roads. And I hope you're paying attention from when we left the main battlefield / town area, just to get an idea of the distance between that area and East Cavalry Field. Whoa, I love hills like that, guys. Great times. All right, we're going to turn in here to East Cavalry Field. Eric Houston wants to know how to get his college student to respond to a text once in a while. Going through this now with Cindy. Her daughter is not responding to texts and things. Now, her daughter and your daughter, Eric, are in the same situation. They're freshmen at college. I don't know if it's easy for you to remember back to that age. I can remember back to that age because I think really, I haven't matured past that age, so it's pretty easy for me. And what I told Cindy is the same thing I'm going to tell you. This is all new to her. The independence is new to her. The campus life is new to her. It's all brand new. And for whatever reason, because I do this when I was, away at college and everything, everybody was always calling. What's it like? How you doing? What's it? Blah, 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 blah. It's like, I don't know what it's like. I don't know how I'm doing. I just freaking got here. Back off. Back off and let me adjust and let me get my bearings. Let me get a sense of where I am and what the hell I'm supposed to do. And I will get in touch with you when I'm ready. Don't crowd me. That's the way I felt then. I'm sure that's the way Cindy's daughter feels, and I'm sure that's the way Elizabeth feels. It's nothing against you. It's more like, holy shit, there's this whole new world now. It's totally different from what I'm used to. I'm on my own, and I don't know what that means. So I got to figure this out. And you're feeling around blind, but you don't want the help. You don't want mommy and daddy holding your hand. This is your chance to spread your wings, which is a very vital part of our development. So I would say let her stumble and fall and feel herself around. And she will get in touch with you when she needs to get in touch with you. Now, if it's agonizing you that your little baby girl's away at college and you want to know how she's doing, and you just want one word, how are things in college? Okay. Maybe 2 words. Okay, Dad. Maybe 3. Okay, Dad, thanks. But you can't get that. Then I would say, send her a text message that, says, somebody just died, you better call me. And then watch how quickly she answers. But that only works once. And then when, God forbid it actually happens, then she won't believe you. So maybe that's bad advice. I'm going to give myself a 0 on that piece of advice. But overall, I think I gave sound advice. What do you all think? Marie says, oh yeah, my friends in school did that to me once. It still hurts my feelings to think about. What, they gave you a nickname without you knowing? See, being a part of it? See, there you go. Paul, listen to what Marie said. Patrick gives that a 4.8. All right, what is that about? Give it a 5. God, Patrick. Marie says, give it a 5 based on my own experience. There you go. Dogface says 5 as you covered all good points to think about. Thank you. Jennifer says good advice. Ghost of Sickles Lake says Dogface, get the name out there and let him figure it out. Yeah, that could work too. All right, now Ghost of Sickles Legs is saying cancel her phone service. No, don't do that. James says, have a 10 a.m. meeting. Have a great day, man. Okay, James, have a good one. Anna, hello. She says, hello, Anna. Michael says, text that you plan to buy them a new car / phone. When they reply, text back the question you really wanted to ask. See, but that's crying wolf, and then she won't trust him after that. The other thing, Eric, the other way to do it is when you do talk to her, just have a little serious, listen. I know you're away at school and it's all new and exciting and everything, but we still love you. We still think about you. We want to know how you're doing. So when you see a text from us, answer it. That's it. Just answer it. Ricky says, I have a question. How do we tell our President Potato that he isn't homeless? That is a good question. I'm not sure he's aware if he's standing. So what is the point of telling him that he's not homeless? We wouldn't understand it anyway. Barbara says, when I was in college, I called home once a week. This was before computers and cell phones, internet, etc. Leave them alone, and don't smother them. That only creates resentment. That's my opinion. I agree, Barbara. Give her room to breathe. Let her spread those wings. Eric, thanks a lot. You just said I'm the problem. I wouldn't say problem, Eric, because the way you're acting is just as natural as the way she's acting. Let me say that again, Eric. The way you're acting is just as natural as the way she is acting. She is trying to establish her independence. She's not consciously doing this, but this is what's happening at this point in life. You don't want to totally let go of your little baby, and so you're constantly, it's like, I bet you there was a point where you're like, oh, I can't wait till these kids are out of the house and off of college. And then now the time comes, you're like, well, wait, I'm not ready yet. And so you keep checking in on them. But the fact of the matter is, whether she's ready to be on her own or you're ready to have her gone, this is the phase of life that you're both in now. And it has its own course, and it has its own way of, that's a course. And you just have to, both of you have to adjust, and you both have to ease into it. So it's not that you're the problem, no more than she's the problem. The problem is, it's no longer the fun part of life with a little kid. It's now the part of life with a young adult. And that's what sucks. I was just talking to my sister middle school. And, I said, well, how'd it go? Well, he was nervous, he was confused, but, he said that everybody was, and so it wasn't as bad as what he anticipated, normal. And I was just like, I can't believe he's at middle school now. Like, it seems just like he was born, and not too long ago. I mean, when I left and see him on the bus, and he always wanted to wave, right? And so I would wave. And then one day, I remember his uncle, my brother-in-law's brother, and his family lived right up the street. So his kid is the same age as my nephew. And so they were on the bus together. And so the dad was down there, so we would talk. And we were talking about something when the kids got on the bus. And I forgot to turn and wave. That afternoon, when I picked him up off the bus, he was mad at me. And I go, what's wrong with you? Are you mad at me? And he goes, yeah. And I go, why? And he goes, because when we were getting on the bus this morning, you didn't wave. And I was like, oh, okay. I didn't realize that was such a big deal, you little wimp. No, I didn't say that. I said, I didn't realize it was such a big deal to you. I'm sorry. And he goes, it's okay. And I said, I'll wave twice tomorrow. I'll wave with both hands tomorrow. So the next day, that's what I did. I waved with both hands, and he laughed because I made a goofy face, and I had his uncle do it too, his other uncle. I'm the favorite uncle, but Uncle Jamie is known as the other uncle. And, and now he's in middle school, and I saw him 2 weeks ago, and he could barely string 2 sentences together to speak to me. It sucks. It sucks. You want him to be that cute little kid that likes playing with you, that's always bugging you. Uncle, come play with me. Uncle, let's watch this movie. Uncle, whatever. And then they get to a point where they're their own people. Barbara says, though, of course, on the other hand, we didn't have school shootings, murders, abductions, so it might be tough. I beg to differ. We didn't have social media and a 24-hour news cycle. I don't know about school shootings, but they're not as new as we think they are from what I was reading. And we've had murders all throughout human history. There's an unsolved murder out of West Virginia, which I didn't want to tell Cindy this because that's where her daughter goes. But this is from the 70s. There was a podcast about it. If I can remember the name of the podcast, I'd tell you. But it was really good, and it was an interesting story. Whatchamacallit there, ladies and gentlemen. What am I trying to say now? I can't remember. There was it was two co-eds. Their bodies were found, but their heads were never found. And being that it was West Virginia, it took them a while to realize it was a murder. They thought that the expression, she just lost her head, was like true, and that it can just happen where someone can just lose their head. And they were perplexed. And then finally, a guy, an off-duty cop who was just visiting from out of state, heard about it and was talking to the local police, and they go, "Yeah, I guess it's true. You could just lose your head." And the cop was like, "Are you nuts? What? No, that's a murder." And then it took a while for them to, and that was valuable time. So it's unsolved. They still don't know who did it. These two girls dead, college students out of Morgantown. That's just one example. Ted Bundy murdered college girls. Murder happened all the time. Here in Gettysburg, when I lived here the first time, so this must have been 2008 or 2009, a girl was murdered in the house that she was renting. I know where the house is, right on Carlisle Street. Her boyfriend forgot to take his meds, and he murdered her with a steak knife and put her in the bathtub so he wouldn't get more blood on the floor or some crazy shit like that. So, yeah. But the school shootings might be a newer thing, but it's not so new. Mosby went and shot somebody at school. All right, I'm going to pull over and read more. Oh, what a move. What a move. Left. Oh, now. Oh, you are an asshole. Sorry. That was my New Jersey coming out. All right, hold on. Oh, we got some good stuff here. All right, so we got some good comments. I'm gonna stop somewhere, and where could I stop? I want to give you a nice view. All right, I know what we'll do. We'll go out to Howard Avenue, and we will stop on Channing's Knoll. Okay. Man. almost there. We're almost there. This is Lincoln Avenue. It's also the old Harrisburg Road if you go to the right. And the house that the girl was murdered in is, they painted it a different color since then, but it is, I believe that, you can't see it anyway. It's one of the houses on the left here. And it was, that's sad. That's sad. I think she was 19. To the right is the Adams County Historical Society's Gettysburg Beyond the Battle Museum. And here's Howard Avenue. We'll pull up under the shade of the trees on Channing's Knoll there and read your comments and then finish for the day. Gotta go to the studio and do some stuff. All right. All right, Patrick Place says, I've got one for you. Would you switch careers from a very successful position to one lower on the career path, but only slightly less pay, less stress physically and mentally, less abusive corporate practices, and the opportunity to have an actual hobby you're passionate about? That's not advice, Patrick. Would I? No. Well, first of all, I'm not very successful, so I don't know. I don't know what that would feel like to go from that. But hypothetically, if I was very successful, I wouldn't be able to afford to go to a less pay position. Would I? I mean, maybe if I was smart with my money and I had some good investments or something, I could do that. Yeah, I guess I could. Yeah, I mean, I guess if that were true, if I were in a very successful position and that opportunity to come along, yeah, I would, because stress, I don't think people realize how dangerous stress is and how unhealthy it is. Constant stress. We all have moments of stress, but daily stress and frustration and disappointment and all these things, most of those things can be wiped away with our own actions. They're brought on by our own actions. And by that, I mean, you know, we all have to have a job. I think a lot of people, and I'm not saying this is a bad thing. I wish I could be this way, actually, but I'm not. But a lot of people get a job based on, well, you can make a good living doing this, so I'm going to go to school and get a degree in financing or whatever. And then but it's a stressful job. They know the skill, but they don't earn, it's not necessarily them. And you can, you know, in your 20s, you're very resilient. You can go through anything. You're learning still. You're probably excited by the amount of money you're making. So, you know, you go along with it and stuff. But then you marry because you're supposed to. And of course, you marry for the wrong reasons. You think you're in love. You're really in lust. And she pressures you to do it. And so you get married, and then you got the mortgage, and then you got the kids, and you're working like a dog, and you're not happy. And now you're in your 30s, and your belly isn't as tight as it used to be, and you don't have any time for yourself, and your time away from home and the family is at work, which you hate. And then you come home and you get nagged, and you got all the stuff that you got to do at home, and then, you know, blah, 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 blah. And then by the time you're 40, you're ready to blow your brains out. And you're stressed. And it's because you made the decision to not listen to yourself, and you listen to the advice of everybody around you. But how could you not have? Because you were, 18? You're in high school, and you're listening to your teachers and your parents. Gotta go to college. You gotta go to college. You gotta get that degree, because that's your foot in the door. And then that's going to get you a good job. You find a good job with a good company, and you get a house and a wife and kids, and you have a nice family, and blah, 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 blah. And you want to you want to hang yourself when you're 42. Great. Great. Can't wait for that. Yeah. But now I say that, and then I tried to beat my own path, and I also ended up wanting to hang myself. So I'm not saying one way is better than the other. You got to find the way that's right for you. But my beating my own path was because for some reason, maybe it's by the grace of God, I don't know. But even as a young kid with no experience, no life experience at all, I knew that if I was forced to do a job that I hated for the sake of a paycheck, I would be a miserable mother, and everyone around me would be miserable, and no one would like me. And I wouldn't be good for anybody else. And I always wanted to be good for other people. I didn't want to be a burden or anything bad for other people. That I haven't pissed people off before. I certainly have, and will continue to, because I'm a human being, and I don't know what I do that pisses people off most of the time. It's different with everybody. So, yeah, I don't know what the hell I was talking about. But yeah, no, to get away from stress and all the things that make me stressed, it would be eventually, I think, yes, it would be worth it for me to take a more or less stress job for lower pay. Ty said, my nephew couldn't say uncle, and it came out as cool. Hated when he grew out of that. Ah, that sucks, yeah. I tried to get my nephew and niece to address me as favorite uncle, but they just call me uncle, which I like better, because the other uncles are Uncle Adam or Uncle Jamie, but I'm just uncle. So it's like, it's like I'm a full general, and then the other ones are like lieutenant generals. They have to have they're hyphenated generals. I'm a full general. In other words, I'm the template for what an uncle should be. And the other two, they're almost there, but they'll never be there. How are you feeling about it so far? Okay, so you're talking about that. When I was in Gettysburg, we had two homeless get into a fight in Racehorse Alley, and one killed the other. I think it was... What? Are you kidding me? Please tell me you're kidding me. Aondish, my spouse did that. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name there. My spouse did that, and she is much happier. She had to be available 24/7, work till the job was done without compensation for overtime. She downgraded and took a pay cut, but is much happier. Yeah. Well, see, and that's a great example there, is when you're overused or misused or perhaps abused, then absolutely it's better to take the less pay. I know people who, who walked away from very successful careers, lots of money, because they couldn't handle the stress. But here's the thing. It's easy to do that. If you make lots of money, and these people, by the way, were not stupid with the money. They didn't spend it all. They invested a lot of it. They lived well within their means and invested the rest. And so they had a cushion. And they were able to say, you know what? In other words, that cushion enabled them to even notice the stress and try to figure out what to do about it. Whereas other people, that live hand to mouth and they make good money, but they spend it all like assholes, then they don't have that flexibility. They've got to deal with the stress, and they can't leave the job because their lifestyle depends on them making that money, because they're spending every cent of it. If they make less money, they're going to have to downsize or something, and God forbid. So, but anyway, I know people that walked away from very lucrative careers because they couldn't take the stress anymore, and they're much happier doing something that they enjoy doing. But I think that's something that comes with age and experience, and I think that's something that that is easier for people who have made a lot of money and have been smart with it to do. Otherwise, you're just dreaming because, you didn't put yourself in that position. I'm not that smart. I'd like to think I'm that smart, but it's hard. It's hard to, I mean, I've been saving, but I save because I have to, 35% of my income has to go to Uncle Sam. So, I save to keep Ukrainians fighting a war, basically, is what I do. Marie says, I went to college and I work in a factory. Go figure. Yeah, well, that's why college is a joke. You could have started in the factory right out of high school. But that's the thing is, for a very short period of time, college had value. A bachelor's degree had value. But then when they started making everybody think that they had to have it, so it's basically like a second high school diploma, well, now a master's degree is what gives you value. But then everybody started going to get their masters to make more money after they get a job after getting their bachelor's. So now it's a PhD that you have to get. And it's just, don't you see the trick? It's never enough. Now they're going to have to do like double PhDs or create some new degree that you have to get to keep you in college until you're 40. It's silly. It's so silly. I find it insulting when everybody's told that they have to go to college is the only answer for them. The most successful people I've ever met either never went to college or dropped out of college. And they went on to do, because they have a brain and they had the gumption to make their ideas a reality, and it worked. They're willing to gamble and take a risk. And I think that's really what it is. Most people are not willing to take a risk. It's very hard to leave your comfort zone. I had this conversation the other night with somebody, and I think I told you this the other day. He was saying, I don't know how I couldn't do what you do, that the risk is too great, blah, blah, blah. And the answer simply was that I reject all of the supposed tos. You're supposed to go to college. You're supposed to get out of college, find a job with a good blah, 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 blah. I rejected that from long before I even knew what it really meant. And I was like, eventually I'll figure it out, but I'm not going down this path. I hate being part of the crowd. I hate it. That's why I don't go to church. That's why I can't stand being in a classroom. I cannot stand being part of the crowd. I like being with the crowd, and I like to lead the crowd. I just don't like being part of the crowd. Never did. This can be part of every morning drive. One deep thought, and you could also throw in a daily affirmation. I'm good enough. I'm smart enough. And doggone it, people used to like me. Eric, I agree, says Patrick. One deep thought, one affirmation, a town shortcut demonstration, and a random run-in with a Gettysburg legend can't be beat. Yeah, that would be great if I could arrange that a different Gettysburg legend just happens to be bird watching, or walking around, or jogging, or riding a bike, or something. Different parts of the battlefield. Like, oh look, it's Scott Hartwig. That's actually a pretty cool idea. You just gave me an idea. Ghost of Sickle's Leg said 5% pay cut, gave up company vehicle and a lot of freedom, but also a shit ton of stress and physical work. Now I'm a maintenance electrician and stress is way down. Yeah, well, I mean, that's the thing. Stress is a killer, man. It's not good. When I had like really bad stress, I didn't recognize it as stress. And I thought I had heart problems. Like I thought I was, I had a clogged artery or something. Like I just, because you feel it in your heart, in your chest, and it's hard to breathe every day. And you just never feel right. And it was stress and anxiety brought on by stress. And I couldn't believe it. I mean, it was so, the physical feelings of unwellness, being unwell, was so real, so palpable that I couldn't believe that it was a mental thing that was causing it. And I had to, it took a while for my doctors to convince me, like, no, believe me, this is what it is. You're okay. All the tests are okay. Your heart is fine. This is fine. All right. I'll believe you, but I didn't believe them. But then after a while, I said, well, maybe I should just pretend to believe them and see. And sure enough, it's true. Like it really, some people that have like bad backs or back pain find out later that it's really stress. You carry it in your back. I don't know what the answer is, like for me, to totally, I guess I'll never really get rid of the stress. I mean, there's things you could do. I've said this before. A huge thing is to either curb your social media use or delete the apps from your phone. So if you have to check Facebook, you got to go on your laptop or something. It's not always there for you to look at. Do that in concert with swearing off the news. Don't worry, you're not going to be in the dark. You're going to find out whatever is going on because you're going to hear other people talking about it. So you're not going to be out of the loop. What you're going to be out of is the demoralization tactics that the news uses in the words they use and the implications that they make in the reporting, which is all editorialized now. Like there's no straight reporting anymore. It's all colored with a bias, and it's all colored with a purpose to demoralize us. And it doesn't matter whether your source is right wing or left wing. That's what it is. And so get rid of that. Stop with the news. Believe me, if something needs to be known, you'll find out about it without having to watch the effing news. Those are the two big things that will immediately, like within a week, you're going to notice a difference. The one thing you should never get rid of is addressing Gettysburg. That's the one social media you should still follow because I barely use it anymore. And yeah. And the other thing to do is everybody's got people in their lives who stress them out, who you love and they love you, allegedly. But, every time something good for you comes about, they throw some doubt on it, or they poo-poo it, or the first thing they say isn't, well, that's great, good for you. It's something like, well, you sure you want to do that so soon? Like you haven't thought of that. I'm not saying cut those people out of your life, because sometimes that's like your spouse or your parents, so you can't. But unfortunately, you have to limit the depth of discussion when it comes to talking about your personal life with them. Because if they're always negative, if they're always making you doubt yourself, and if they're always like, that negative or making you doubt yourself, like they're not on your side. And they're not someone that's going to help you get out of your stress or anything. So that's step 2, is excise toxic people from your life. Much easier said than done when you're fed up. You got to get fed up. That's probably step 1. Get fed up. Step 2, Social media and news, get rid of it. Step 3, excise toxic people. And let's see. Okay, wow, this is a good conversation. You guys are actually interacting here. Wow, okay, man, let me go back here. Eric, I agreed. Deep thought, pay cut. That's been my last 2 weeks, but much happier. A lot of stress. Both positions pay very well, but one gave a lot of physical problems. Now I'm working Little Caesars Arena in Detroit. Aondish carries stress in his or her, sorry, I don't know, shoulders. Yeah, shoulders and back for me. Oh, who am I kidding? Head, shoulders, knees, and toes. That's where I carry my stress. Ghost of Sickles Like says, and it's been a godsend. I feel so much better physically and mentally. My last week at a job was 10 days in a row at 12 hours a day. Oh my God. But I honored my notice and I stayed and worked my ass off. Good for you. David says, I'm such a hypochondriac, it's going to kill me. I've gotten very sick twice now and ended up hospitalized because I was convinced I was imagining it. Actually, no, it was appendicitis. Oh, see, so in other words, are you saying, David, that when you're okay, you imagine that you're sick, and then you basically cried wolf to yourself is what you're saying. You imagine you're sick when you're okay, and then when you're actually sick, you write it off as no, this is just in my head like everything else, but here it was really appendicitis. That sucks. My grandmother was a hypochondriac, and it's funny because I think in many ways I am myself, but I'm aware of the condition because of her, and so I joke about it. And it's funny when you're aware of certain conditions because of an older relative that you witnessed go through it, and you don't want it. Like a lot of people, they inherit a certain mental disorder or whatever, and they're aware of it because their older relative had it, but they go, well, it's hereditary, and they just kind of give in and let it rule their life. But the reason why I hate slavery so much, I think it's the worst thing in the world, is because the thought of being a slave to anything but my own thoughts and desires and will, it just makes me want to vomit. I'd rather be dead. So if there's a mental illness or disorder that is something that I might inherit, I'm aware of it, and when I see it, I'm going to fight it because I don't want to be a slave to it. And I was a slave to depression and anxiety for about a decade. I wasted my 30s. I have no memory of my 30s for the most part. And you would think, oh, he must have been drugs and alcohol. I wish. I wish I had that excuse. It was depression, which is like almost more embarrassing. Because at least with drugs and alcohol, once in a while you have fun. But with depression, it's just misery all around. Either way, the end result is the same. Your life basically sucks during that era, and you have very little memory of it. And so I'm dead set against ever letting that rule my life again. And so with the hypochondria, I'm aware of it, and my doctor and I joke about it. And I say to her, like, I'll go to her, but like, all right, listen, I have this pain in my throat. There's like, when I turn my head one certain way, it clicks. There's like a lump, it clicks. A friend of mine had throat cancer, and he told me that, I said, how did you discover it? Because you're not a smoker and never were. Like, how did you figure out something was wrong? And he goes, oh, well, every time I turn my head, there'd be a click in my throat. And I'm like, oh my God, I've got the click. So I've got throat cancer, And I said, no, I say this to you, but I also want you to know my grandmother was a hypochondriac, and I probably have a touch of it as well. So I'm fully aware that this could be in my head, but still, all you need to do is tell me why it can't be throat cancer, and I'll tell you if that matches with what I feel. And so she would ask me these questions, and they were like whatever. And the answer to most of them was no. And she's like, then it's most likely not throat cancer. And being that I've had the same click for years, and it hasn't gotten worse, and it isn't always there, it's most likely some kind of gland doing something with something else in there, and that's what it is. But anyway, my point is, you got to fight it, David. You're aware of it, so you got to kind of be your own shrink, which is hard to do. But, because you can't carry your psychiatrist with you or your psychologist with you all the time. So you have to be your own therapist, and you've got to know, like, all right, I have this. I know I have this, and here it's rearing its ugly head again. So let's think about this rationally. If it was, whatever, throat cancer, well, what are the symptoms of throat cancer? What are the real symptoms of throat cancer? Not what am I imagining the symptoms to be? And then you can kind of talk yourself out of it. Anders says, but I get my news from addressing Gettysburg. Well, then you're very smart. That's the only place to get your news. David, shut up, body. You're just being a little bitch. David's body. Please, for the love of God, listen to me. Yeah, no, it sucks. It sucks. But you can work through it there, David. You can figure it out. Ty, smoking lots of medicine always seemed to help my stress. Yeah, it doesn't hurt. David, exactly, he says. When I was little, I was always crying wolf, and now I'm an idiot. Well, I wouldn't say that, David. Don't beat yourself up. First of all, I'm going to tell you right now, that is not going to help anything. With the I'm an idiot. And this is coming from a guy who's always saying I'm an idiot. But I have to tell you that some of that modesty that I try to portray is false. Or it's not false, but I'm choosing to be modest rather than revel in compliments and go, yeah, you're right, I am blah blah blah. That's not attractive. Nobody likes that. I don't like that. Why do I don't want to do that. And when I do it, there's a heavy slathering of sarcasm on it, because ultimately at the end of the day, I still don't believe any good things. Even when people say the same, disparate people, you got 100 disparate people who have nothing to do with each other, and they all say the same good thing, the same nice compliment to me. I still don't believe them. And so I think that's why I'm able to kind of joke about it and act like, like a pompous, arrogant guy, because I think it's silly, the things that people say. Now, if I had achieved this at 25 and not 45, it would be a different story. Absolutely contemptible person. I would totally revel in it, and you would hate it. You wouldn't want to be around me. You wouldn't listen to me. I would have been, because I that's what I wanted to be. That's what I wanted from life, is, adulation. Just for being me, just for being alive, which is ridiculous. And that's what most young people want. And now that's why TikTok and all this stuff is so dangerous. But now at 45, I just want to be recognized for doing good work. I don't really care about me and what people think about, if I'm good or not. I know what I am. And I don't, I just want people to like the work, and I want the work to have value to someone. And that's why I have no problem. Again, the 25-year-old me would never, ever take the risk of producing That's What She Said, because there's a risk that they may overshadow me, and they may be the thing that everybody associates with the name Addressing Gettysburg. Or we're going to start doing Addressing Winchester with a different host, but he's replicating the model that I set up for Addressing Gettysburg in Winchester. And the 25-year-old me would not take the risk of having that guy, Casey Turbin, have a show that could overshadow me. But the 45-year-old Matt is like, no, it is impossible for me to have everything. And I can't, there's no time to have everything, to do everything. And if this is going to grow, if the purpose of addressing Gettysburg is going to expand, which is to promote visitation to historic towns and historic sites, and also to just get people interested in their history before it's all gone, then that is good. Because at the end of the day, whether people recognize it or not, I can sit back and say, I'm responsible for that. And good for Casey for having a show that is as successful or more successful than mine, because that's a testament to his hard work that he put in on that show. And I'm happy to have it as part of the network. Same thing with Veronica and Bethany. And I don't think most people in this field could do that. But I also don't think a lot of the people in this field are still in their 20s or 30s, where you're still kind of, I want it all and it all should be mine. And in other words, life hasn't beaten the snot out of them long enough for them to be brought to their knees and humbled and say, all right, let me try this again, but, guide me in doing it the right way instead of the my way. And, yeah. Speaking of Casey Turbin, we had our first film club last night. I had so much fun. You guys, if you're not part of the film club, you've got to join the film club. Send Casey an email at agfilmclub1863@gmail.com. I'm telling you, we talked about glory. He did such a great job, Casey. He came up with like 8 or 9 questions. Might have been 10. Let's say 10. Round about 10, okay? Questions. And they were really thoughtful questions, and they provoked a really good conversation, I think, amongst the members of the film club. It wasn't the Wild West, everybody raised their hands when it was time to talk and stuff. I really had a great time. We talked about Glory, which, I love this movie, and it's funny when you talk about it with other people who've seen it a bunch of times. It's interesting to see how people interpret certain things, and also the reactions that people have to certain scenes, and to find out that they're the same reaction you have. I remember Beth, this is Beth Wheeler, she said that when we were talking about the scene where Denzel Washington's character is whipped, she says, I always have to skip this scene. And then it was my turn next, and I said, Beth, same thing here. I can't watch that scene. It's just too painful. Like, everything is just too painful about it. But also, I think it's a very important scene to understand the character growth of both Shaw and Tripp, and also their relationship. I think I always saw that scene as the point where they bonded. Because there's those scenes where they got close-ups on their eyes, implying that they're looking at each other square in the eye. And when they remove the shirt and we see the scars on Denzel's back, and Shaw's reaction is like, oh, Jesus, like, I'm about to do this to this guy, and he's been through it, but he's got to establish that he's the boss. And he's the colonel, and if I back down now, these men won't respect me. And meanwhile, Denzel's looking at him saying, you think you're going to do anything to me that hasn't been done to me or worse, little white boy? And he's getting that, Shaw's getting that message too. But when he sees the scars, and then he sees Shaw's reaction to the scars, I think that's where they bond, even though he's about to get whipped. He knows that Shaw is going to follow through. And this is, guys, you probably get this. Like, that's a weird thing that us guys have. Like, we could be mortal enemies 1 minute, and then there's that one moment where we both realize we have profound respect for each other, and then become friends. And very close friends sometimes. And I don't understand what that is, but I know I've experienced it. It's a very weird thing. And I think that's what that scene is there. But then somebody else had a different interpretation of the scene. And that's what I think was so cool about the film club is, you're all looking at the same thing, but you read it differently. And that's one of the things that's so great about the art of film is, it's in the eye of the beholder. It's not, there's what the filmmaker intends, and then there's what you interpret, and it's a totally different thing sometimes. Okay, let's see. Exactly. When I was little, I was always crying wolf. Now I'm an idiot. Okay, you said that. Don't say that. The click, the claps, ugly. Ty. You're funny, Ty. Aondish says, I struggle with that whole I'm an idiot thing. My father probably had a little hand in that since he used to call me that whenever I made mistakes around him. So I remember one time, I don't know what I did, but I got sent to my room and my mother said, you're acting like an idiot or something like that. I ran up to my room and I felt so small because I interpreted that. Now I'm in what, 3rd or 4th grade, right? I interpreted that as my mother said, Matt, you are an idiot. Like, in no uncertain terms, you are an idiot. So then when she released me from my room, I was still crying, and she said, what's wrong? And I said, you called me an idiot. And she said, no, I didn't call you an idiot. I said, you're acting like an idiot. She goes, you're not an idiot. I said, you're acting like an idiot, and you're not, so stop. And that's when I learned that we must pay attention to the words that people use. Because I think we're all kind of a little conditioned, especially nowadays, to hear a certain word and be set off by it and ignore the words surrounding it. I go through this with our buddy Cam all the time. When he got mad at me because I said nobody cares about West Virginia, all he heard was nobody cares about West Virginia, and he completely ignored the lead up to it and the context of it and the fact that he knows me well enough to know that I like to bust balls and joke around. It didn't matter. He heard a phrase that he's been conditioned to be set off by, and he was set off by it. And a lot of people are like that today. But I'm glad I had that conversation with my mother at that age, because that taught me to listen. It taught me to listen to the words that people say. Like an idiot is not the same as an idiot. And so, I don't know. I hope, I don't know what your father said, but hopefully he said, quit acting like an idiot, and you just misinterpreted it. And you've been carrying the misinterpretation. So you might have to think about that. But I'm sorry to hear that, because that is that's a tough thing. Wade says, very good advice, Matt. As a person, you need to be strong and honest with yourself. Surround yourself with good people and find a counselor or pastor you can trust and feel comfortable with. Amen, Wade. Amen. Ghost of Sickles Leg. I am an idiot, or like I tell people, I am the original hold my beer guy. In the last 16 years, 56 broken bones, 18 surgeries, and a partial amputation, but still a thrill junkie on the mountain bikes. Damn. He also says, my first broken bone was at 40, and my last one at 53 on a 3-year streak. Jesus Christmas. Maybe I can do a podcast addressing broken bones and teach people how to act smarter. You know what Ghost of Sickles like? That's not a bad idea. You should be a cautionary tale. Your life should be a cautionary tale for thrill seekers, adrenaline junkies. And why did that start at 40? Did it start at 40 and you started breaking bones? Or were you always an adrenaline junkie, but 40 is where we start to become clumsy, and that's when you started breaking bones? Ty Webbs. Ty Webb says, sounds more like the ghost of Evel Knievel. More like the ghost of Super Dave Osborne. Dogface says, was like that with a guy. We hated each other. He's a lobbyist. I was a knuckle dragger, but came to common ground. Now we meet up in Gettysburg, go out to eat, swap items, beer for VAT 69. Do you work for VAT 69, or are you just a fan? First broken bone at 40 and not clumsy. Got chances to do more sketchy stuff that costs money. Ah, gotcha. Yeah, it's enough for me to keep both feet firmly planted on the ground. I mean, you know, just the other day I was stretching and I popped a disc. So, or at least strained or sprained a disc. I don't know if that's a thing, but I wrenched it. Point is, I'm still a little sore, but it's getting better. So if I hurt myself just stretching, there's no freaking way you're getting me to do anything crazy like mountain climbing or mountain biking or, you know. It's time to go get our morning coffee, so I'm going to go down to Bantam Roasters and end this day's broadcast. Oh, good. Okay, thank you kindly. Alrighty, we're moving along here. When I get to Bantam, I'll read the final comments and close out today's drive. All right. So let's see. What else? David says, I feel like you were almost referring to being triggered. To be honest, I can tell I don't agree with you politically, but AG is great, and I think you're great. Those opinions aren't worth losing, AG. Well, I don't know if you disagree with me politically, because I'm in the middle, so I don't totally disagree with one side or the other. I just disagree with extremes outright. But David, I like to think of it like this. A fair-minded person, he will fall right, he will fall left, depending on the issue, not depending on what his party allows him to think. And if that's extreme, then okay, I'm an extremist. I believe that I should be able to make my own decisions, and not follow a certain ideology as if it was a religion, and not be bound by what my party allows me to think. So, yes. And frankly, I tend to, I like people who think we disagree, because when I sit and talk with them face to face, we find out we really don't disagree. It's just what they hear. Again, they hear certain words or phrases that come out of my mouth, let's say, and they're conditioned to equate that with one side or the other. And it's interesting because I'll have people who are liberals who will think I'm a conservative, and then people who are conservatives think I'm a liberal or a Marxist. I've been called a Marxist, which is funny. So that's how I know I'm right, because I'm right in the middle, because both sides think I'm the other side. And then you realize, then once you can get yourself in the middle, you realize how childish people in the right or the left box allow themselves to be. They're children who are afraid to leave mommy and daddy's side, and mommy and daddy being the DNC or the RNC. They're afraid to stray away because they feel some security or safety there with that party. But if they were able to look at it clearly, they would see that they've been supporting our own demise by voting for whichever party they choose for however long they've been voting. And I just wish I could just figure out a way to make everybody see that and believe it, like with a snap of a finger, so that we could all get out of this stupid haze that we're in and fix the country before it's gone. So I think we would agree politically, David. Next time I see you at the Farnsworth house, we'll talk. Goes to Sickle's leg. I always took risks and liked showing off. I was more into the thrill and the adulation and the women back in the day. Liked a guy who took stupid risks. Yeah, I think they still do. Marie says, I pulled a muscle in my back putting my pants on once. Hurt for 3 days. Yeah, all right, you know. David, also between the military and being a firefighter, EMT for 10 years, my back is destroyed. I've always wanted to get into mountain biking or whatever, but I'm already sore enough. You know, I wonder if swimming is good for people with bad backs. Because that's not, there's no impact, right? You go jogging, there's impact. It's going to hurt your back more. You know, anything else. But swimming sounds like it might be good. It's good for the muscles, good for the heart. Low impact. No impact. Problem is, who wants to see my disgusting ass in a pool? So I can't do it in a public pool. I have to swim in my bathtub. That's why I love being an electrician, because you can't see it, smell it, and when you get shocked, that's when you know. Yes, I gotcha. Hit the like button, folks, says Ghost Sickles Leg. David, agreed on that. Extreme moderate, as Franklin once said. David, that's what I always say. I am an extreme moderate. And yeah, I stole it from Ben Franklin. Honestly, I think if there is going to be any type of saving of the United States, we need more extreme. The moderates need to start getting extreme. The problem is moderates have jobs. So they can't go protest in the street. They can't go... What does the right do? The left protests in the streets because they don't have jobs. The right, what's the equivalent of that? Go to PTA meetings. You know, the moderates need to start doing all this shit too. There needs to be a moderate Antifa or a moderate moms who go to PTA meetings, but extreme moderates. Because there's more people in the middle. That's the thing. They're quiet, but there's more of them. I don't know. Hey, Ondish, I hope you have a nice day too. SP says no extremes. So moderation in everything, including moderation? No. We must be extreme in moderation, but everything else should be moderated. I think, and put it like this, in order to balance the scales again, right? And to kind of right the insanity of society, the moderates, who again are the majority, they need to wake up, organize, and remind the lunatics on both fringes, you guys are only allowed to speak as loudly as you do by our good graces. There's more of us, and you're starting to drive us fucking nuts. So sit down, shut up, and let us get the country back in order so that you guys can get crazy again. Because that's the thing. We've had it too good in this country where people have to create problems to bitch about. And that's the thing I never understood. It's like, if you listen to the problems that the left or the right say are out there, when I look around me, no matter where I go, unless I'm going to an extreme example, like, you know, the bayous of Mississippi or New York City, and not to pick on Mississippi, but you know what I mean. Or is the Louisiana Bayou? Whatever. Bayous down south or New York City. I don't see what they're talking about. And so that's the thing. There's like this disconnect between what the extremists want us to think. Like, it's not 1950 anymore. So much has happened since 1950 to improve American life. Yet some people want us to believe it's 1950 still, and nothing has changed. And I don't understand how people don't go, you people are lunatics. Like, get out of the way. Instead, we put them on TV. I don't know. Or we put them in office. Whatever. So yeah, we need the moderates need to get extreme. They need to get loud, just to kind of put everybody back in their place. Because the loony bins on the left and on the right are spilling over, and that needs to stop. Swimming is very healthy, low impact. Yeah. Ty Webb, have had issues with sciatica. Water worked wonders for the back. Salt water even more so. Oh, I know. You're right. Every time I've gone swimming in the ocean, I've always felt better. Maybe I got to get into swimming. Where am I going to go swimming? It's frightening. I can't go to the Y and go swimming because it's the YWCA, so it'll just frighten people. If it was the YMCA, we're all used to being disgusting and hairy and fat, so it doesn't matter. But YWCA, that I'll get, shot or something. Ty says, have had issues. Oh, I read that one. Goes Sickle, different side of the same coin. They are. Oh, and that's the other thing, Sickle's leg. They are the different sides of the same coin, and they don't realize it. Like when I point out to someone who's criticizing the side opposite from where they sit, and I say, yeah, like how your side does exactly the same thing, yet they excuse it. And they go, oh, you can't possibly compare. And I go, no, I am comparing because I think you're both nuts. And so I think I'm coming from a pretty fair place where I've looked at you both. I've been on one side. Well, I've been on both. And it's having been on both where I can recognize how absolutely insane you are. And if you bristled at me saying that you're insane because you fall into one of those camps, I say it with love, and I say there's plenty of room for you here in the middle. Part of your stress, if you have stress, will go away if you moderate. That's all. That's all I'm saying. It's all out of love. Go swimming in Plum Run Pond. Yeah, maybe that's what I should start doing. Hard times create strong men create good times create weak men, and weak men create hard times. Yeah, we are in the weak men create hard times part, which is like 20 years too late. I was ready for this when 20 years ago, but we didn't have enough weak men yet. But now I'm too old to be one of the strong men, so I'm just gonna have to hope that there's enough strong ones in the younger ages. David says, can't wait for Tim Smith's Sunday story time in Farnsworth and cold weather. Seriously, I was dove hunting on Labor Day, and it was like 100 degrees almost down south of Richmond where we hunted. Yeah, speaking of Tim Smith's Sunday story time at Farnsworth, Sweeney's Tavern or whatever, I asked him the other day if he was going to do it, because, now he's got the Adams County Museum as a venue, and I was worried that he would take it over there. And he said, no, he's still going to do it at the Farnsworth House, which is good because there's a charm to doing it at the Farnsworth House. It's more intimate, number one. Number two, there's food and drinks. Number three, you start seeing the same people every week and you get to know each other, and it's nice. It's, oh, hey, Dave, or hey, Tom, or hey, whoever. And it's like a fun little group of people, and I look forward to it. And I'll tell you what, between that and the winter lectures, it makes the winter go by quickly. I couldn't believe this past year, winter lecture season started. I was all excited, started recording them, and before I know it, we were at the last one. I was like, how the hell did we get here so fast? And then I realized, oh, you're 45 and life is just going to start dripping away. Like something that drips away. Couldn't think of anything quick enough. All right, David, you have a great day too. I'm going to get going as well, ladies and gentlemen. Have yourselves a fantastic day. Thank you very much for sitting and listening to my crazy ranting. It's a lot of fun and very therapeutic. It saves me so much money having to find a therapist because there are no therapists around here. And the one that I used to go to all the time for decades died a couple of years ago. So I can't go to him anymore. So this is fun. I get to talk out ideas and thoughts in my head and realize how nuts they sound. And then I go, well, I must never say that again. So you have yourselves a good day. Next time you're here in Gettysburg, don't forget, Bantam Roasters. Get yourself some coffee. Steve, you have a great day as well. Talk to you all later.